Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I filmed a video like this. I'm kind of starting a new chapter in the next half of the year. I thought the best way to introduce this sort of new, I don't know, wave of videos or just new chapter with a new bookshelf tour. Because, sorry about my dogs, they're going to make noise. You might not be familiar with the background. I got new bookshelves. My mom and I decided to slowly turn my room into more of a library. I just have so much wall space. And we decided to buy 2 new bookshelves and fill them. And I'm going to give you a little tour of them today. I'm really excited. I've built these right when I came back from England 2 months ago, and I'm so in love with them. They look beautiful. So as I am planning to film and produce more videos about literature, about poetry, maybe even my own poems, I thought it would be perfect to start with a new bookshelf tour. And I think my last one is quite old. I don't remember. I don't even know if it's still up, but it definitely changed a lot. So I hope you enjoy this tour. I'll see you guys afterwards. Just a side note, I did not show you every single book. I did not tell you about every single trinket that is in my bookshelves. It's not yet finished all the way because my mom still has to put a lot of her books into this bookshelf, but I still wanted to show it to you guys. And towards the end of the video there will be a voiceover part because my dogs were too loud. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it. Alright, we are starting with the top of the shelf. That mainly has a decorative purpose. On top of these shelves there will be books that are not to be touched or are rather delicate. I know that it's not the best thing to do with the dust, but I'm dusting it at least once a week, so it's been okay. Let's start over here. We have some German books actually. The first one is actually the most special. It is the Grimm's Fairy Tales that my dad always used to read us out of. Next to it I have 2 books that my best friend gave to us. One for me and one for my mother. This is the most beautiful German fairy tales, and this is German poetry 1780 to 1900. And next to it is a German copy of Wuthering Heights. This is just there. Next to it we have a beautiful book, which is The Adventures of Alexander von Humboldt. This is my mom's. She just decided that it might look good up here. Next to it we have the 3 fairies that used to be on my other shelf. I believe this is spring, summer, and fall. Let's move on to this shelf. On this side of the shelf we have my pride and joy of books, very special editions. First of all, I have a couple of Shakespeare's here. They are bilingual. They're German and English. We have Hamlet, The Merchant of Venice, King Lear, King Richard III, Othello, Macbeth, Timon of Athens, and Troilus and Cressida, and Measure for Measure. If I sound out of breath, it's because I am. I'm holding the camera in a very, very bad angle, and it's quite hard to speak with my neck bent backwards. Anyway, this is the Riverside Shakespeare. My best friend gave it to me. It has all the Shakespeare in it, all the sonnets, all the plays. It's amazing, and it's very old and it's very fragile, so it is not to be touched. Next to it are my very special exclusive editions of The Song of Achilles and Circe. And there we have the Chronicle books, Pride and Prejudice and Little Women, which I dearly love. If you have no idea what these are, check out my video that I did a couple of years ago, I think. Christmas guide or a gift guide for book fans. These are beautiful. Underneath the top we have the first sort of real book section. As you can see, it is still quite empty. This will be our section of mostly women throughout history. There are some books containing men, this for example, or this one, but it's fine, they're allowed to be there. But as my mom and I focus on women throughout history, we like to have an entire section dedicated just for them. We move on to the shelf beneath these. My dogs just woke up, so you might hear them. This is my shelf of poetry. Here we have the section of classic poetry, so you find names like Emily Dickinson, Wendy Cope. These span, I think, like 200 years, some 300. We have Walt Whitman, Charles Bukowski, which I'm not even sure I want to keep the copy of. I might use it for my literature studies, so after I'm done with all of that, I might give this copy away. Anyway, some of them are German. Here's my little collection of the Everyman's Library Pocket Poets, which I want to have all of them off. I'm currently collecting them, and I have 4 so far, my pride and joy. In front of it you can see my little sculpture that I did. It is a prototype of a sculpture I did for art class in, I think, 11th grade. It survived the entire moving process 5 years ago, and then it broke, I think, a month after I put it on my shelf, but I like it better this way. Next to it we have the modern poets. We have Ocean Vuong, for example. There's a lot of stuff that I haven't read. This will become a pattern in the course of the video because most of these books I have not actually read, which I'm ashamed of. Yes, I know I should be giving you a bit of a better look on them. And this will most likely fill up through the years. Yay, I can finally start filming with my tripod. The rough section of the video is finally done, guys. Sadly, my tripod doesn't actually reach the top shelves, so I'm sorry you had to deal with the wanky filming. Let's continue to actual professionalism. This is, I guess you can call it my dark academia white/black/red shelf. I wish I could tell you that all of these are classics. Most of them are. We have my favorite, for example, The Picture of Dorian Gray. We have some Albert Camus, some Shakespeare, Homer, but we also have things like The Secret History, If We Were Villains. Another pattern will occur, not only that I have not read most of these books, but also that I wish I could tell you that there's a genre. No, I mainly wanted it to look pretty, which, you know, I think I nailed. I'm pretty proud of this one. It took me a long time to curate it, but I like the organization/disorganization. So when we put our lovely hat away, you can see my very botched copy of The Goldfinch. I did not do this. My 9th grade English teacher did that. He gave it to me as a departing gift, sort of. When he retired, he packed a huge box of books and gave it away to his students, and I got The Goldfinch. I recently got Slewfoot. I am so looking forward to reading this. I think it's gorgeous. This one's quite special, If We Were Villains, the 5th anniversary edition. I think it's funny that nowadays you do 5th anniversary editions just because your book is that successful. But, you know, it's also signed, so obviously I had to have it. I'm looking forward to rereading this someday because the first time I listened to it, and I'm right here. I wouldn't say that I was disappointed. It was just a book that I expected a bit more of, so we'll see. I love that this isn't focusing on me at all. Anyway, lots of books that are on the top of my list of reading. I really want to get to The Book Thief eventually. This right here is something that I really like. It's a little frame that my sister gave to me. She thrifted it, and I couldn't think of anything to put in here, so I thought it might as well put it on my shelf and let this little pawn figure look through it. Now this is sort of the last souvenir thing I got that could remind someone of Harry Potter. I put all of my stuff of Harry Potter away. I totally get why some people still want to enjoy it. It's hard for me to enjoy it, that I don't want it to be on display because I actually care about trans people's rights. So yeah, this is sort of the only thing, but the reason I put it out is because it's actually one of the first sort of chest pieces ever found in history of medieval, I think, England. The history is very interesting, and because I studied history for 2 years, I might as well put it out. And I also think it fits the theme. Yay, let's continue. We are moving on to what I would say is the encyclopedia of poetry and Shakespeare shelf. Again, the main purpose of this is that it looks pretty because that's the first thing you see when you come into my room. This was a special book. It's by Mark Benecke. He's a forensic biologist, and this is a book that he wrote, and I think it's really pretty. And my mom gave this to me to put it on the shelf because I think it fits quite well, but for the sake of the tour, I have to put it down. There are lots of poetry collections, like a poem for every day, a Shakespeare poem for every day, a poem for every night, a nature poem for every night, for every day. So these sort of collections that I really like, Poems to Live Your Life By, all these kinds of books that I wanted to display in this shelf and not this one. What I love about this shelf is that every time I write a poem or research the symbolism of things, I can go into this and hopefully find what I'm looking for, because we have the Book of Symbols or the Floriography and Ornithography. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. These books I absolutely love. This is an illustrated guide to the Victorian language of flowers. Both are curated and designed by Jessica Rue, and this is an illustrated guide to the bird lore and symbolism. I love looking into these and finding out the symbolism of, for example, the peacock. It stands for reverence. So yeah, I love these a lot. We also have one for the ocean, which is more scientific approach, not necessarily a symbolism. Word Perfect by Susie Dent. It's gorgeous, and I really need to continue reading this. But we also have some collections like Selected Poems of Robert Frost, who's one of my favorite poets. We move on to this section. This is a tiny Shakespeare section. You already saw a couple of Shakespeare's in the shelf next to it. Here we have the complete works, another collection of Shakespeare's works. This one I actually really like to use. The Riverside Shakespeare that you saw is again, more fragile. My face is so close to the camera. This one, which is gorgeous. The cloth-bound classic of the Sonnets and Lover's Complaint. So, Shakespeare sonnets. And a book that I badly want to get into, Shakespeare on Toast by Ben Crystal. This was recommended by one guy in the class that I was in that I took first semester almost 4 years ago. It's been a long time. And it's sort of an easy approach on how to read Shakespeare and how to analyze him and interpret him. My approach of reading Shakespeare, or, you know, enjoying Shakespeare, is just watching the play and enjoying it because I love Shakespeare. But I thought this might be cool for academic reasons if I ever take another Shakespeare class, which I am planning. Problem is, I've been so focused on women history that I'm kind of sick of studying dead old white men's works, even though Shakespeare is one of my favorites. But you know, you get it. I think I bought this one as well for my former English high school teacher. Anyway, let's continue. I think that was it. Again, I'm not pointing out every single book, I just point out the books that I really want to. We continue with one of my favorites. Let me zoom you out a bit so I can tell you about it. Now, this is, I think, my family's favorite shelf because it's a rainbow. This is my collection of the Puffin classics. They are made by Penguin Random House, but these are special in a way because, let's take one out. For example, one of my favorites is Dracula. You have the little puffin bird, and they have glitter. So obviously, my sister decided that I needed them because actually, except for this one, except for The Secret Garden, every single other book was a gift by my older sister to me. Or rather my family to me. They are releasing more of these, and the problem is if there's more coming out, I need to move some things around because then they won't fit. So far they fit perfectly, as you can see. I'm really, really proud of that. That looked so weird, as if my arm isn't my arm. Anyway, I'm not allowed to look at the ones that are being released because my sister always wants it to be a surprise. Most of these I haven't read, and I'm still not sure if I want to read these. I'm a collector of books, which is a very privileged thing to say. I collect beautiful copies. For example, my favorite book, The Picture of Dorian Gray, I have, I think, 4 times. I want to take care of my books. I don't really care about their worth and maybe reselling them one day or having a very expensive library. It's just appreciating beauty, and I want to surround myself with beautiful things. Usually I am the first person to crack a spine. I love annotating, I love sticky notes and everything, so I want my books to look like they've been read. The problem with hardcovers is that I don't think they look that beautiful when they look like you've really read them, you know. I don't want to do that with them. So I might stick to my other copies of the books that I can actually touch and read, you know? They're precious. I want them to stay beautiful. I have an assortment of these little ballet shoes on top of my bookshelf because they used to be on the other one. My mom came in while I was curating this whole thing, and I was like, I don't know what to do with them, and she just put the blue one on top of the blue books, and I was like, okay, I might as well do that. Don't know if it will stay that way, but so far I like it. Yay, let's continue. Now this is probably one of the most nerdy sections of the bookshelf, or the bookshelves, because this is mainly my mom's collection of books about King Ludwig II of Bavaria, who built Castle Neuschwanstein. So I need to tell you a bit of my family's history. I live on the Bavarian countryside where we as a family used to go on vacation. We went to the castles ever since I was a kid, so he's probably the most prominent historical figure of my life. I would say that he's one of my favorite historical figures, and it has a bit of a touristy sort of image. Obviously the tourism and everything, they come because of these castles, but we have an interest in the historic aspect, and yeah. This is the section. I think all of these, except for this is fairy tales and mythology of the area that we live in now, or non-fiction, so like biographies about the king. These 3, for example, are thrillers about the area, about the time that the castle was built, for example. I really liked them. I still need to read the last one. Adorned with bits and pieces of touristy souvenirs that I got in the last 24 years, I don't know. No, I'm 23, what am I saying? This, for example, is Castle Hohenschwangau. This was their summer residence, so Ludwig as a kid would spend a lot of time here. It's still there, by the way. This is a different castle. This is Castle Linderhof. This one is actually finished, and this one is my absolute favorite. It is gorgeous. It's a bit more secluded. Anyway, before I get into my nerd talk about him, we continue with the other shelves. Yeah, I now took a seat and I'm going to show you this part of the shelf. This one, I would say, is... Hello, baby. He's my little doggy. Yeah, he absolutely hates it. Jack wants to show it to you, so... or not. Alrighty. This is my other classics shelf. We have German and English and also American classics mixed. So we have The Picture of Dorian Gray. Again, we have Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, which I loved reading. I did not expect Jane Austen to be like this witty and funny. Das Parfum, The Perfume by Patrick Süskind, or Momo by Michael Ende, Krabat by Ottfried Preußler, so German classics. I also have a few more Shakespeares in here. My copy of The Hobbit, which I think deserves a bigger and better display, but I have not found a place for it yet. Der Vorleser by Bernhard Schlink, which I recently read. I listened to this book. I love listening to German books. Recently, I found myself doing that more and more because my attention span is horrible. It always has been, not only because of social media or TikTok. Hello, my love. All going to be okay. Mom's just at breakfast with her friends. She's gonna be back. So when I read English books, my mind is occupied and keeps close attention not only to the story, but also to the language, which is a thing that doesn't really happen when I read German. So I love listening to German books. And I recently read Der Vorleser, which is The Reader, and I really liked it. This fall, I really want to get to Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, finally. This is the one book I badly want to read. This is a mushroom jar that my sister made for me. Let's continue. Now this bookshelf, as you can see, is quite empty because my mom has not got around to actually fill it up yet. This will be the novel section, which I know it's quite tiny, but I have lots of novels in my other bookshelf. She has lots of novels in her own bookshelves. So these are German novels, for example, 22 Bahn by Caroline Wahl or Die Wut, die bleibt bei Mareike Fallwickel. One of the best books I read last year. If you're German, you need to read this. It's amazing. Also her other book, Und alle so still, Der Kaiser der Freude, which is the German version of The Emperor of Gladness by Ocean Vuong, the book that just came out. And when I go to work today, I'm actually picking up my copy. I don't read translated fiction if the original language is German, but my mom got me this because it's actually signed, which is special. I know it's just a sticker, but yay! So, German novels, and this section of the bookcase is the home of one of my favorite gifts, or one of the most thoughtful gifts I've ever gotten. This is, let's say, a bookend that my best friend made herself. She made this out of a copy of The Picture of Dorian Gray. How amazing is this? It's incredible. I am in love with it. I believe we should just move down here. Might as well sit on the floor. Hi, my love. I love you. Oh, baby. I'm trying to film. There's the other one. Hello, my love. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. We do have books about the Third Reich. My mom is first generation. My mom is first generation after the war. My grandparents lived through the war as teenagers, so obviously there is family history entwined within it, but it's also an incredibly, from an historical aspect, interesting time. Just the amount of heinous, horrible things that were allowed. The entire psychology is incredibly interesting and also very shocking to study. Hi, my love. We have all kinds of non-fiction books in here. We also have a novel called Liverpool Street, which is the story of the children that were obviously evacuated in the Second World War. We have student-led revolutions like Die Weiße Rose, the White Rose of the Scholl siblings. All kinds of stuff that is still very important. And Wannsee-Konferenz, the Wannsee Conference, which is... oh, there's an incredible German movie. Watch this movie. I think it's in the ZDF Mediathek for my German peeps, which most of you are. It's the movie depicting the Wannsee Conference and how the Nazis eventually developed this plan on how to commit the genocide. I think I cried for half an hour after I watched that movie because I couldn't believe how easily these men talked about committing genocide. We read about it a lot and we watch lots of documentaries because we should never forget, and it's more important than ever nowadays. Also, both of my parents are huge history buffs, not only because it concerned them or their own families, but also just because it's their interest. So these are mainly my mom's. Let's continue. This is the shelf that is the emptiest because it has actually not been blessed with books yet. I am currently reading these two books, or studying these two books. This is another book on mythology because I only have like 10 already. I recently got this from work. We had one copy left and I took it home with me. And this is just an encyclopedia of the Greek myths. My dogs are playing right next to my tripod. which is brilliant. I'm a huge mythology, especially Greek mythology nerd, and this contains a lot of knowledge and a lot of concise knowledge as well. So it belongs in my Greek mythology shelf, which we will get to, but as I'm currently studying it, I don't want to put it in the back of the shelf. This one is a catalog of one of my favorite museums in Munich. It's the Glyptothek in Munich. And the last time I went, which I think was a week ago, 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, I finally procured the catalog of the exhibition. So yeah. Okay guys, the last quarter of the video has to be of a voiceover because my dogs would just not stop playing and they were so loud and it messed with all the audio, so I'm now recording it. The only other thing filling this section is a small pile of short, concise monographs, so books that focus on one thing in particular, and so far this is our collection about different aspects and points of history. The section beneath is the home of mostly art-themed books like this one about Edgar Degas' ballerinas, but also books that just didn't fit into the other ones. I love art, and I bet that this collection of books will grow a lot in the future. So far, the other half holds my mother's copies of the Bronte sisters' books and 2 books that we read as children that my sister found recently online and bought them for us. Now the last section is pretty boring because this is where I store some of my journals and some other bits and pieces. This is definitely not finished yet, as you probably guessed. This will probably hold books from my mom. Now we're going to quickly address my old bookshelf that is now significantly less full, as I also got rid of a lot of books that I unhauled. This section is all kinds of novels arranged in a way that I thought would look nice, and that's basically it. I tried to color code it a little bit without it being too color coded, if you get what I mean. On top of that one is one of my absolute favorites. This one is reserved for my books focusing on Greek mythology. And here we have the Iliad and Odyssey alongside retellings of myths, and behind them are non-fiction books that I forgot to show you guys. Oops. But yeah, I absolutely love this section, and this will also fill up. Next is a bit of a random one. It's novels, again, but they don't have these vibrant colors like the ones in the other section that you saw. So I decided to arrange them alphabetically and just wait till I fill it up with more books. The top section is actually filled with books I've actually read. Of course, the other shelves hold books I've read as well, but this section is exclusively books I've read and that I maybe want to reread someday. Especially those in the front are books that I really, really love. And lastly, on top of my shelf, you can see some Mortal Instruments books. It's my favorite fantasy series of all time. And the reason the others are turned is because their colors just didn't match. And you know by now I want things to look pretty, so that's a decision I made and I actually kind of like it. Something I completely forgot to show you was my nonfiction section, which is actually stored on my book card. So this is a picture of it. We have memoirs, little witch guides, a bit of astrology, next to just basic knowledge. Some of them are about one thing, some of them aren't. That's it, basically. That's my little nonfiction section. Woo! Alrighty, we're back. I hope you enjoyed the tour. Hey! My dog just moved the camera. I might as well let it be this way. I am really looking forward to filming more videos in front of this background. I'm in love with our little library. I can't speak. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Let me know what kind of videos you'd like to see moving forward. And yeah, I'm excited. I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, whenever you're watching this, and I hope to see you in my next video. Yay! Bye-bye! Leute, müsst ihr das machen hier direkt neben? Hallo?